Maximum news. This just in. Lionsgate sucks. But that's not, gaming related. I just felt like saying that. If you follow me on my channel, you understand why. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, as always, Max Derrat, and I'm joined, as always, by...
Sybsidian from the Triple S League. Hello, everybody.
Hey, welcome back. And let's just...
It is returned to a frozen north up here.
Yeah. Is it cold there?
We are... so there's snow going sideways right now, as I speak.
Oh.
And then there's this thing, like... all the normal stuff that you normally get. So you got the snow going sideways for some odd reason because it's deciding to do that. You have the ice just everywhere. You have a bunch of White Walkers going up and down the streets. It's just normal stuff, man, in the north.
Are you okay? You really need to share whatever it is that you keep taking without me. Yeah, he lives in Alberta. Which it tends to be a lot colder. Here in Ontario, it's actually still somewhat warm, thankfully. But I'm not bragging, and you guys aren't here to hear us talk about weather.
I don't live in Alberta. I live in the cold white north. Just north of the wall. We got the White Walkers.
You got the redheaded Scottish chick. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, no, that's my nieces and yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyways, yeah, no, it's just normal. It's just normal up here.
GG. And dragons and stuff. All right, yeah, indulge us, guys. We never do the intro usually. Simon and I rarely ever get the chance to talk. Let's get into games, though. So, my boy, Hideo Kojima, peace be upon him, my favorite game developer. Obviously, we all know him for making Metal Gear Solid. He also made the lesser-known Zone of the Enders, Snatcher, and, of course, Death Stranding. He's been in the news for a couple of reasons this past week. First of all, we know he's in the works, like, working on whatever his new game is. But there have been rumors here and there about what that new game might be. There's been hints as to Death Stranding 2. Last week, we talked about a report that supposedly Kojima is trying to make the next big thing when it comes to, like, a new gaming fad, that sort of thing. But a couple months ago, I can't remember where we heard this report from, but there was a rumor that this next game that he was working on, well, there's two elements to it. One is that it was called Overdose, and that it would be a horror game, and it would star Margaret Qualley, who we know played Mama in Death Stranding. It was probably the best part of that game, in my opinion. But that was just a rumor. We had nothing to back it up with. However, there was a little bit of leaked footage, allegedly, that came out this past week. I actually watched it. I wasn't able to get my hands on it, actually, up until about an hour before the show. I managed to get a look at it. It seems legit. It seems like it's using the same engine, like the Decima engine, I think. It's the same one that Guerrilla Games used. It seems like they're using that same engine because it's really rendering Margaret Qualley's face, who actually appears in this leaked footage. And it shows her running around like a darkened hallway with like a flashlight. And then there's like, if you look in the bottom left corner, there's like what appears to be a woman on a phone. But unfortunately, it's all just so blurry and very, very difficult to see. And for some reason, the guy recording this off screen isn't wearing his shirt, which is probably the most disturbing thing about the footage.
It's so disturbing. Like if you're recording anything with a lens, please,
yes,
just wear pants and a shirt for the love. Like,
unless you're cut like Brad Pitt, I really not. I'm just joking. I don't even know what I'm saying. Yeah, but that was the gist of the footage. I mean, and like at the end, it said like a Hideo Kojima game, that sort of thing. It's not from anything else that we've seen. I don't recall Margaret Qualley being in any other game, so I think it's real. Asad, did you happen to see it? Like, does it seem legit to you?
I'm fairly certain this was the stuff that had been going. Like, I'm pretty sure that this had been going around before, but I do believe that this current work has been canceled, though. So It's like whatever this is, I'm not sure if this is what his actual next project was. Canceled might not be the right word for it. It was like retooled or something like that. Which, I mean, in early game development, that is an absolutely like normal thing that happens on a day-to-day basis. like 100%. So again, like how that comes out, how that works out in the wash, like we're just gonna have to wait and see.
So are you saying that like whatever this is, it's sort of a different version of the game that he's working on now, or it's something completely different from what he's...
Either like one or the other or both?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell, guys. You need to see the footage to understand why we're saying this.
Yeah, and the fact that this could have just been a screen test, or like a tech test or something like that. Tech tests, they tend to get out fairly frequently. And the primary reason why is that sometimes you take footage or you take a game concept, something like that, and you shop it out while looking for, basically you're looking for investors, or you're looking for people who can work with the tech that you have, or something. They're in the line of like trying to work on a portion of technology that you don't readily have access to. So you put something together, you send them the footage, and then the footage never is like, hey, we would like to do this on the screen. Like that doesn't happen. What you get is you get the image or the video cut, and you get the documentation that comes along with it, or the conversation of the people going over the phone, and do that. Yeah. So it's like that's a normal thing. That's actually how a lot of leaks happen. But yeah, this is like right now, that's what this made me think of. That's what made me feel this.
Yeah.
This is not a portion of the game that you're probably going to see or play, or if it is, it's going to be very, very different once once it actually hits.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's legit, but it's so hard to derive anything firm from it, aside from that maybe Kojima's core aim for whatever his next project is horror. Although, given like the mysteriousness of the current marketing campaign that his studio is on, you could probably infer that. Hopefully, I've been hearing a couple of rumors here and there that whatever this game will be, it'll be announced at the Game Awards next month, which would make sense considering, Jeff Keighley and Hideo Kojima are like two peas in a far-out pod.
I should mention now that this does have this footage that we saw. This may be part of the trailer that we're going to see too at the same time. Like it's clearly early on, or like not early on, but like early-ish, I would say, in one facet or another. So yeah, where like when we see this stuff, when we see we're going to know once the Game Awards show up. Obviously, this is going to be the most likely place that Hideo is going to pop this out, because they're such good buddies, and he's they're such good bros, man. They're good bros.
Yes, they're like the literal most perfect incarnation of bros, except for maybe Starsky and Hutch. Yeah, thankfully, I'm not too I'm not too worried about whether or not we're going to see this stuff soon. I'm more than happy for Hideo Kojima to take his time working on this project, because we have so many horror games that we're able to look forward to over the next year. We got Callisto Protocol coming out next month, which I'm very excited about. Dead Space remake after that. Then, of course, we got more Resident Evil 4 remake, that Silent Hill 2, a whole bunch of bloody remakes, man. But hell.
Plus my favorite one,
Alan Wake 2.
You may not have heard of this one before. It's called, everybody I know is terrified of it. It's called The IRS Audits You Again. I mean, again, is like you think that it's like, it's a sequel. It's not a sequel. It's actually just a yearly thing for some people. So
Oh, okay. I know there's like simulators for a whole bunch of weird crap on Steam, but I didn't know they went that far. Who the hell wants to play a game about getting audited by the IRS? All right, I get it.
Scariest thing I know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Even the Joker didn't want to mess with the IRS. Kudos if you get that reference. All right. And then there was another piece of news regarding Kojima-san. Sybe, Remember way back, like I think it was last year when we talked about this whole conspiracy surrounding this little studio called Blue Box, and how people thought that it had something to do with Kojima's next game, and maybe had something to do with Silent Hill, because we were just that desperate for any sort of Silent Hill news.
Yeah.
I remember we did a segment on the show that I posted on my channel, and I got a couple people mad at us saying that there's absolutely nothing to do between Blue Box's game Abandoned and Hideo Kojima working on Silent Hill. Well, it's confirmed now, and look who's looking like an ass now. So it's confirmed that Kojima didn't have anything to do with Silent Hills, which is something that we really should have just been able to logically infer all along, given the bad blood between him and Konami. But so it was confirmed, I think this past week on a new episode of Mr. Kojima's new podcast. I think it's called Brain Structure. I still need to listen to that. I really want to. I just haven't had the time. Somebody asked him about what it was like having to deal with that. People saying that these two guys were the same. And apparently, like according to him, around the time that was happening, he was getting up to like 20 pictures a day of people sending him Hasan, Kahraman, the guy who runs Blue Box Studios' picture, saying, "Is this you? Are you him?" And they're like doing Photoshop edits. And he said it got really, really annoying after a while. And I can understand why.
That is part of that. It's like I do get why some people are really frustrated with that are in the public life, but you got to remember that comes with the public life thing.
Yeah.
And there are a handful of scenarios where it's not warranted or it's not something that's easy to deal with. But for the most part, it's like, that's normal. That's a normal thing. It really is.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really messed up, but like with any sort of person that's in the public eye and, any sort of really desired product, people are going to do weird things in the name of that product. Like remember when, like a couple of months ago, when we didn't know what the release date was going to be for God of War Ragnarok, whether or not it was actually going to come out this year, people were sending pictures of their genitalia to the developers, asking them for the release date en masse. Yeah. That was the worst example that I can think of in recent memory, and thankfully,
why would you do that? Like, what's the end goal there? Like,
well,
what's the exit strategy? Like, it's so bizarre.
Yeah, well, there's some people in this world that are so sad that their entire life revolves around the release of a game. Yeah, so I'm glad that this whole thing was put to rest, that not only are we getting a whole bunch of new Silent Hill games, but Hideo Kojima is able to work on his game. It would have been nice that, because, the gaping wound that is the lack of Kojima's take on Silent Hills is still fresh in a lot of people's memory. But hopefully there's some closure with this and the new Silent Hill games that we can finally be able to move past this 8 years on. And please leave Mr. Hasan Kahraman alone, unless, maybe you're asking about what the deal is with Abandon, because we're still wondering what the hell went on there. So that's pretty much it for that. Syb, you, I don't know, like, the premise sounds good, and I saw, like, headlines about it, but do we know, like, what's going on, like, who's making these supposed John Wick games?
Before we get to that, I do want to leave a question for the audience. Please put in the comments below. If you had like $1 billion and the ability to like do either a movie, a show, a Broadway musical with Hideo Kojima and his good buddy who does the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley, if you could cast them both into a thing, what would you do? Would it
West Side Story?
West Side Story,
Jeff Keighley would play Natalie Wood's character.
Like what would be a cool concept? Yeah, hit us up with that. I'd love to know. So yeah, John Wick coming to video games.
Nice.
Now, that sounds great, and it sounds cool. But unfortunately, it also sounds like one of those press releases that we get from time to time. Somebody comes out and they're like, hey, we're working on this amazing, beautiful game. This is the best game you will ever ever experienced in your entire life. And in fact, let me paint the picture for you. You've got this entire city, okay? And the entire city, you get to go everywhere. You get to see everything. Not only the city, you get to see the whole world. The whole world. And there's this deep quest that takes you all over the world, and absolutely everything is open to you, and you can see every corner of everything. And then you get to go to space, and you get to fight giant space monkeys on a giant ship, and you get to do all this stuff. It's coming. Here's an amazing trailer for it. And then you don't hear anything for 8 years. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
That happens a lot, a little bit more than I'd like to say. And I think, and I don't want to get people's hopes up, and I don't want to quash them. However, I do sort of get the feeling that what we're hearing is like the company is like, hey, we want to make this into some video games because we were at this like recent money retreat, and a bunch of guys from Tencent and some of these other like big like video game companies were like, hey, we made $1 billion in like 2 months. And I'm like, how can we get in on that? And so we want to do it. If you know somebody, hit us up. That's sort of the vibe that I got. Now, there's a lot of rumors as to, who's exactly doing it, what's exactly going on. And there's nothing actually like mega concrete. There's, as far as I know, it's just an announcement from the essentially the movie house saying, yeah, we want to do this. And so I'm a little like,
I just realized. Guess who's the movie studio behind John Wick?
Oh, I can't remember what it is.
Lionsgate.
Lionsgate.
The guys just started the show dissing. Why are we even talking about this? Screw you guys. No, it's okay. We can talk about it. It's not like the heads know exactly what they're doing. I mean, if they do, screw you. But let's just go with the assumption that they don't.
Yeah. So the quote, the quote from the CEO. I finally found it here. I had the wrong article pulled up. Here's the quote.
Okay.
A big AAA game based on John Wick, and quote, we have been fielding proposals, end quote. So that's the stage that we're at. We're not at a stage where they have a plan, they have a concept, they have a studio, they have a trailer coming up that's going to definitely come out at the Game Award. They don't have any of that. None of that. They are fielding proposals from studios wanting to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple of scenarios that I can imagine something cool coming out of this. One obviously is like a Max Payne type of approach. I would just like if some sort of game can give me something like that, just like the kinetic action of the movies where you just go around double tapping everybody and executing people in the most ludicrously entertaining ways, I'd be down for that. Or you could do something more like a more kinetic, less stealth-based kind of Hitman type game. I'd be down for that as well. It might take a little bit longer, but either way, like anything that can get more John Wick into my life is awesome. Like that franchise just sort of came out of nowhere. People like, I think the first trailer for that movie came out like a month before it released, but it was just so immensely good and so immensely popular that it became what it is. Yeah, and all of them, like I love all those movies. Like, have you seen them, Simon? Do you like them?
The John Wick movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. I hate it. Like every time I watch it, I get really upset that the
dog died.
The dog dies. Like it's like I was really, really upset by that when I saw it, and so I went to the movie store, and the person was like, "Why are you so sad?" And I'm like, "I just watched this really sad movie, about this pet, and it kind of sucks." And they're like, "Oh man, I got you. Here's a good video. Here's a good movie to watch. It's called Old Yeller." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And then I, had another like breakdown, and I came back, and they're like, "Oh, why are you so sad?" And then I'm like, This was not what I needed. Oh, the dog? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, the dog. I guess he took that to mean, I didn't like dogs, so he gave me Charlotte's Web. And yeah, that's I don't like animals dying in things. It kind of sucks.
You know what movie you should watch? Damn it! I should have a god. Why can't I think of Lion King? You should watch The Lion King. There you go.
Yeah, I've been told that. Actually, if you literally know somebody who has this issue, get them to watch All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh, jeez.
Because that's pretty funny. That puts a funny spin on the whole thing. But no, it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, that gets me every time. It's like, and they really hit on that so well.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was such a good move to do that. Yeah. Like, cause it's like, yeah, you want to make everybody mad? Yeah. Have this guy kill a dog. That'll make everybody like, can't wait to see you get your head blown off, buddy. It's like, yeah, that's what people like.
It's such a genius way to get everybody invested. I'm surprised no other movie thought of that beforehand. Yeah. So, I mean, if something comes out of it, I'd be down. Thankfully, like, even if we have to wait like 5 years, that's fine, because we got like the Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes coming out, and that should satiate my type of like that type of game that I have in my mind. Yeah, so we'll see what comes of that in like 5 years. Moving on to the next story. Man, this was funny when we talked about it last week. Yeah, you were talking about how does IKEA not offer a cease and desist to that one game, whatever it was called?
Yeah. Turns out they do. Turns out they had to. They had to escalate it up.
Yeah. And understandably so.
I do get it. It is a little too much like IKEA without like crossing any direct lines. So it's going to be interesting to see like what happens here. Is somebody gonna like, who's gonna blink first? I guess.
It's like, they do everything that they can to parody it without like directly ripping off things. Like, they have the blue background with the yellow text, but does that necessarily constitute plagiarism? I don't know.
Not really. And it's going to be a really hard sell to get the court to agree with them on this. But I do think that the video game makers should probably do some things to tweak it. And the thing is they don't have to do much. If they make it so that the place also sells cars and has a wacky, like a really wacky, like a giant, like stuffed, really mascot of some type, right? Like, if they have like a giant stuffed mascot, he's got like a wacky like accent and personality and stuff like that. That'll be different enough that I think they can like move far enough away that they don't have to worry so much about it. But then again, you never know, right? Like you never know. Sometimes people really do absolutely, like, some people will not let this go. Yeah.
Especially when there's lots of money to be made. Yeah. So what? Just remind me and the people like what the name of the game was.
The store has closed.
The store is closed. Yeah. And it's like a horror game, right?
Yeah. It's a horror game. I haven't looked too much into it as far as like gameplay and stuff goes. Horror games aren't like, they're not really my beat. So
yeah, no, they're not for me either, unless they're called Silent Hill. Well, we'll see what comes out of that. That's sort of like the saga that keeps on giving. I just find that so funny. Okay, next story. Yeah, Modern Warfare 2. Syb, I bought that game yesterday. I only had like half an hour to play it. And this is unique for me because I haven't bought a Modern Warfare game since Modern Warfare 3, like the old Modern Warfare 3 from like roughly a decade ago. But I bought it because... hold on. I bought it because I heard like such wonderful things, like how it's great value for your dollar, lots of great customization, great selection of new modes and maps. You wanted to talk about it. Is that true?
So are you talking about Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 2?
The Modern Warfare 2 2022 222.
But like, because there's currently, you can currently play Modern Warfare 2, which is not to be confused with the other game Modern Warfare 2.
Well, you're doing a great job not to confuse me.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing, right? It's like Modern Warfare 2 is so much better than Modern Warfare 2. In fact, I'd say that when you're looking at the two titles, that Modern Warfare 2 gives a substantially better experience than Modern Warfare 2. And not to say that, the one, that came after or the one that came before is better than the other, in the sense of, like, knowing and appreciating the shooter genre for, being the shooter genre, and being, at times largely repetitious, to the point where someone might sit around a room and say, hey, let's make Modern Warfare 2 again, and let's call it Modern Warfare 2, but it's not actually, a reiteration of the original, in the sense that, it's an exact duplicate, just with better stuff. It's just Modern Warfare 2, which is also, the same thing as Modern Warfare 2. So yeah, that's the point I mostly wanted to bring up, was that that when people say that the shooter genre is, fairly it likes to repeat itself a lot. That's my point.
Oh,
that's my point. And I know I don't think the joke hit as good as I wanted it to, but I still think it's funny, the fact that there's two Modern Warfare 2s that exist.
Just as there are two Modern Warfares, period, that exist.
Yeah.
Well, like, so your point is that you're not particularly interested in it, even though it released. Yeah,
no. The thing that I thought was funny about it is that there's one that's called Modern Warfare 2 $, and then there's Modern Warfare 2 Roman numeral.
Right.
And that's the same. Those are different products, and that the tagline basically is like, hey, check out all the advancements and, like, differences and stuff like that. And it's the same. It's the same game. It's every Modern Warfare is the same game as the previous Modern Warfare, just with, like, more graphics and sometimes, like, no additional gameplay.
Well, like, almost all the time, I would agree with you, but, like, I'm based on, like, have you been hearing the same things that I've been hearing, like, about how, like, compared to all the other games on the market, like Battlefield, Halo Infinite, whatever the most recent one, Overwatch 2, like, this one apparently.
I've been hearing it's good, it's better, it's an improvement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a good thing.
And basically, like I said, I bought it yesterday. My fiance, she spent the night playing it, and she says it's actually really surprisingly good. And, like, she doesn't really care for COD, or like me, like, I don't normally care for COD either, but she's saying she's digging it. So maybe there's something there. Like, I'll have to check it out and report back to you guys next week or something.
I remember my first experience with COD was like somebody was screaming in the voice chat.
Racist slurs, yeah.
No, for their mom. Like they were yelling at their mom because their mom was asking them whether or not that, whether he pushed Timmy at school, because Timmy's mom called her, and she was all upset that, why is he not being good to Timmy? Timmy's a good guy. And then he's like, no, Timmy's a liar. And it was just like, that was the experience.
Yeah. Sometimes I ask myself why people don't use their mics more often during, when you play more modern multiplayer games. And then I realize it's because people in the past did that all the time. That's why people don't do it anymore. It's because people tend to suck, ladies and gentlemen. All right, finally. Going to end off on this story. Syb, have you ever heard of Parasite Eve? Like, did you play that back in the day when it was on the PS1?
I remember hearing about it, but PS1 was not something that I had access to
Oh,
for the most
okay.
part.
Did you have were you an N64 guy?
No, I was hard into PCs at that point.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Parasite Eve is sort of the IP that you've always heard about for a lot of your life, but that you never really got to. That's sort of what like that game plus Legacy of Kain for me. Like that was one of them. I recently started looking into it because around the time that October started, I was looking for games to do videos on, horror games related. And one of them that people recommended me was Parasite Eve. I unfortunately didn't get around to it, but just based on some of the stuff that people were saying about it, that'd be right up my alley. I wanted to check into it. It turns out that maybe the reason why people were recommending it to me was because there was this recent trademark registration done by Square Enix for something called symbiogenesis. Now, unless you've played Parasite Eve, which I hadn't, you might not know what symbiogenesis is, or symbiogenesis, whatever. But somebody told me that it's actually the entire concept. It's a real life concept, apparently, that Parasite Eve is based on. So when Square Enix registered this trademark back in October 13th, people sort of theorized that, maybe there's something like a new game coming out in that franchise, which a lot of people were happy about, and understandably so, because from what I understand, some of the people that worked on that original game were involved in some of the OG Final Fantasies, Xenogears, so why not have more of that, right? Well, unfortunately, turns out there won't be a new game in the franchise. Well, not the type of game that we would all want to play. Apparently, the symbiogenesis thing has nothing to do with Parasite Eve. Instead, it's actually an NFT project. Or, as they refer to it, a digital collectible art project, releasing in spring 2023. Although they say it'll be story-based, but, Cyber, I don't know, like, maybe you can enlighten me. Like, what is it, how do you put a story into an NFT game where the whole point is to invest in pictures of stuff? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, this is unfortunately the world that we're in right now, and it's sad, and it really annoys me because we have such there's so much better things out there, and the amount of times that I have been served an ad for an NFT game. Guess when the last time that I got I would call it a forced advertisement. So not something where you're just like, you go to YouTube, you see an ad. That's not a forced advertisement in the sense of that you're going to YouTube, you're clicking on a video, you're going to get an ad. This is like you're doing something that you don't normally expect to get an ad. You see an ad, it's not a pop-up, it's like an embedded thing in a place that you've never seen an ad before. Guess when the last time I saw an NFT ad like that? I'll give you a hint. It was about a minute ago.
Yeah.
So that's the world that we're in. We're not in a world where games are being advertised to you. They're in the genre that you like. It's like, hey, here's an ad for a product that I have never spent any money on, period. And I get about 15 to 20 of these kinds of ads a day. And in some cases, I'm getting them in places that I was not expecting to get it at all.
Yeah.
And it's being rammed down my throat in a way that is kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it seemed like a few months ago, like, NFTs were like this huge thing. And maybe it's just because I have absolutely no interest in them, but it seemed like the whole fad was quickly dying down. But maybe it isn't. Maybe there is still a huge thing there, and it's just fallen out of the public consciousness because people aren't really talking about it. But yeah, like, I'm getting what you're saying about how like there are ads for it everywhere. Other people seem to say it's not happening. Whatever the case may be, Square Enix seems to be just tripling down on this pursuit. And frankly, I hope that, perversely, I hope that they continue to do so, because both you and I know, Syb, that eventually this investment is going to fail quickly. NFTs are a fad. And when that happens, they'll be forced to sell off all their other franchises that they're not making any money from. And the people that own those franchises might be able to go on to make new games, a la Crystal Dynamics with Legacy of Kain, now that they're their own studio. And Eidos with Deus Ex. God, that would be good. I want new games in those franchises so bad, so
Yep. No, I wish every game development studio who's working on a hard game that's designed entirely around NFTs. I wish them the greatest, most speediest flight into the side of a mountain as humanly possible.
yeah.
It's not just that it's a fad. It's like it's taking advantage of people in a system that's worse than microtransactions, because it is microtransactions that quickly get elevated to macro and then Kraken transactions, and it's like you're getting a thing out of it. It's like, oh, can I take this thing and put it into another thing and another game and another thing? Oh yeah, you can. Like what? Like, oh well, it's not built yet. It's like, you mean I can't? Well, yeah, it's designed so that you can. It's like, but what can I take it to? It's like nothing. And that's so frustrating. It would be one thing. It would be one thing if it was like armor and clothing and cosmetics that you get into a high graphical fidelity game that fit in there, and that you can you can take that and move it. But that's never going to work like that. It's like, it could, yes, of course it could work like that if somebody designed it like that, but that's not what the design is for. It's not designed in the way that you get a really cool helmet that is on the micro scale, which is unique compared to other ones, or even that you get to buy a particularly limited edition fancy thing. It's like, those have been around in a lot of ways, shape, and form. It's that we're going to get a system that targets you, that feeds on the fear of missing out, that feeds on this idea of like, well, you gotta invest now. You've already sunken so much money into this thing. You gotta sink more money into this thing, and you're gonna get a little picture of a monkey. Seeing that little picture of that monkey, isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? He's got a little top hat on. He's got a little bit of clown makeup. Isn't that cute? It's like, no, that's not cute. It's predatory, and it's disgusting, and it's not going anywhere. It's been like, what are we on now? It's like the third year of this garbage, and nobody has like anything that actually like functions well, like at all. Like, ugh.
Yeah, but it take actual effort to make an actual game.
Yeah,
compared to this, where you could just mess around and just bask in the chaos. Yeah, well,
and because and here's the reason why. Because even if a studio like Microsoft, with all of their studios and every project that they're doing, even if they incorporated a system like that, it would still be predatory. It would still have the system where the old stuff never comes into the new stuff anymore. There's always this like this leave it behind mentality. Why? Because it doesn't help a company when the vast majority of what they're selling gains value, right? Like, that's not something that they're actively interested in supporting. What they want you to do is they want you to face this thing where you're constantly having to buy the new thing. And it's like, I'm okay with that when it comes to full priced packaged games that are, you buy you buy a copy of, and then you own that copy for life. I like that. That's a good concept. But when it's like 50,000 different little microtransactions, or an infinity number of microtransactions, because they're all these tiny little things and you collect them, and then they don't gain any value at all, period, except for maybe a small number of them. I remember seeing this happen. It was called CSGO knives and weapon skins, and it was just people lost a lot of money on that, and there was very predatory, creepy, bad people, some of which are now in jail. They were running around going, "Oh yes, this is the best thing ever." It's like, "Oh no, it's not. It's the worst thing ever. Congratulations.
Yeah,
you're now feeding the giant corporate beast even more of your soul. Yeah. Please stop." That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too. Like, R.I.P. Parasite Eve, I guess.
Which is a shame because the Parasite Eve's art and main character are pretty cool.
Yeah,
I never got to play the game, but I like the art is somewhat iconic, and I like the character. So, and I wish somebody would do something more with it. And again, it's like this, they keep losing money. Them and Nintendo keep losing money. They keep having to sell off stuff and do other things. It's like, why not just remaster a bunch of your old stuff?
But that would take effort.
You put 500 people in a room. You say, "Hey, get this game." You give it a new UI, new coat of paint, update the graphics a little bit. If you port it if you have to, but mostly just do a remaster edition. You don't have to, maybe do some re-recording of some really bad audio lines or maybe add some of that cutting room floor content back to it. Do stuff like that.
Hell, re-release
would pay you.
Yeah.
A lot of people would pay you a lot of money and say, "Please shut up and take my money. I really want this." And you're sitting there saying, "No, instead what we want you to do is we want you to put $800 into this new NFT game because this new NFT game is going to give you a bunch of junk that you don't want and you don't use and you never look at again."
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Give us a
go ahead.
When
you got a guy who's like super hardcore on NFTs, and he's super hardcore on NFTs. He's like, "Look at this picture I own. I own this picture," and you just take out your cell phone, and you just take a picture of it. God, that is so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny to see how angry they get. I don't normally troll people. I try not to. I do troll probably more than the average person, especially on Twitter. But it's so funny to just take out your phone and just like I don't want to take a picture of it. Most of the time I don't actually take a picture of it because I'm not interested in it. But it's so funny to see them get so upset about it. It's like, dude, you don't own this.
Yeah.
Like, you own this in the sense of like, I guess you own this, but you don't own a visual thing. Like, you can't own a visual thing. It's like, okay, if you're gonna find some way of putting that in the game other than just having an icon, which is like nothing, it's like, I don't know. I broke my thing. I said I was finished, but I clearly wasn't. I hate this NFT garbage so much when so much more of this energy could be going towards better things.
Yeah. Like, when you're speaking of remasters for their old projects, how about you give us like a slight remaster of, because you do the pixel remasters. Give us something like that for Xenogears, but finish like the second half of the game like you didn't do back in 1998. I would pay the crap out of that.
Here's an idea, Square Enix, if you're listening, here's an idea for you. I guarantee you this will make you nothing but money. Like, imagine that, nothing but money. This is a money printing machine. You take these old games that you take your back catalog and you put them up on a board and you say, people can like get behind and throw money behind this project. And once this project hits like, 8, 10, 15 million, whatever it needs to like do a full remaster on it, we're just going to remaster the game. We're just going to improve everything, improve the graphics, bring it to a new so you play it on new platforms, whether it be your phone, whether it be your PC, your PlayStation, whatever you want. You could play these games here. And if you're in the first initial group of people who put their money behind this, you know what? You're going to get a cut. You're going to get a portion cut of how much this money makes on its post-sale. That'll reflect the an above break even point, but not, obviously clearly all the money that they make off of it. You get a portion of that divided back to you, and you send it back to you. There's something that would actually retain actual wealth. It's this thing called investing, and you could invest and set up a system in which people could invest into particular games that they want to have remade. And then once you get enough support for whatever game that you want, then they can release that, and then people get a copy of that. That would probably make you a whole lot more money than this NFT garbage. But the problem with that is that it involves work and a brain.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That
probably not going to happen.
That is a genius idea, though. I honestly wouldn't mind investing in it.
There are so many games that people are they want these games to be remade. I want a new Jill of the Jungle. And I have tweeted at Tim Sweeney a number of times. Now, we did get in a heated argument once, but I have tweeted at him several times, and he even liked one of my posts once when I said, please remake Jill of the Jungle. It was one of my favorite games when I was a kid. I don't know why people just don't. And I get it's I don't want to be constantly remaking old stuff. It's like, you don't have to. You can pay somebody to do it for you. And the market's there because there's people begging for you to if you could sell an improved version of the game that people play on a ROM, if you could sell that to even 10% of the people who play them on ROMs, you'd probably make probably 8 times the amount that you put into it.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
Yeah, I know, man. Well, I mean, I don't want to... Sorry about the train in the background. It'll go away in 10 seconds. I don't want to end on a negative note, but I suppose what we could just focus on is the fact that God of War Ragnarok is coming out on Tuesday. And, aside from Elden Ring, it's looking like it's going to be the best game of the year. I can't play it yet, though, because I still have to finish the first one. But that's something positive. Plus, hopefully Sonic Frontiers is good. I'll probably play that first, because it doesn't require prior knowledge of past stories.
And there's more rumblings about Neon Prime. Ooh,
oh.
Neon Prime. What's it going to be? Ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea. I really don't. I have no clue. I think probably, if I were to guess, it's probably something for the new handheld device.
Nice.
I think it's probably going to be something like that. It'll be available on probably the main Steam, tool anyways too. But
if it's coming from Valve, it's something to be excited about, generally speaking. Yeah. All right, guys, that does it for this episode of Maximum News. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button, because when you do it, it tells the YouTube algorithm that not only this video, but all the other videos on this channel are worth watching. So please do so. It's free and easy to do. Make sure you leave a comment on any of the stories that we talked about today, whether you agree or disagree with anything that Cyber Eye said. We'd love to hear from you, just provided that it's kind and constructive. I want to thank Saib, as always, for doing the show with me. Saib, do you want to tell people about the main channel before we sign out?
Yeah, check out the main channel, the Triple S League on YouTube, and we got a whole bunch of other things we do, including AI plays. Check that out for a deeper dive into AI, but where it's usually involved or connected to video games in some way, shape, or form. Right. And also, almost a month from today, we're going to be having that. We're going to be covering the Game Awards. Not because we love Jeff Keighley, but because
we like trailers.
Doing a lot of game announcements and trailers and stuff for it. And I most certainly do not like the way that the voting system works on it. I think it's pretty garbage. I think that the people's voice should have a little bit more of a say. So I definitely think that platforms like Steam and platforms like Epic could have a 1 vote per verified user who's spent more than $100 on games, or is it the account's been give something to that. Let people vote on it. The PlayStation, Xbox, everything. Nintendo. Like let people's voice be heard on this stuff, and then use that more. I don't like the fact that you create a very bad echo chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, check us out for that. Streaming in 1 month from when you're probably going to see this video.
Nice. And you guys could just find me on all the regular forms of social media, just at Max Derrat. I'll put links to that and Syb stuff in the description box below. Until we do this again next week, guys, I want to remind you, as always and as per usual, don't buy NFTs.